Dear viewers of Heartbeats for Allah, imagine a small village in Paris where every resident embraced Islam solely because of one extraordinary 10-year-old child. In this peaceful community, change came not through force, but through the innocent and powerful words of a young boy. At the heart of the village stood a modest mosque where a respected Muslim, Hafiz of the Quran, taught local children. It was there that destiny took an unexpected turn. One clear morning, as sunlight streamed through the stained glass windows of the mosque, the door opened and a determined 10-year-old stepped inside. Without hesitation, he moved forward and boldly proclaimed, "I want to join your school." His simple statement carried a force that left everyone present astonished. The learned Hafiz, taken aback by the audacity of the child, replied, "This is not a school, it is a mosque." His voice trembled with surprise, for he had never encountered such an earnest inquiry in all his years of teaching. Yet the child's question was more than a mere request. It was a call to reassess the true meaning of education and faith. Moved by the purity of the child's intent, the Hafiz felt compelled to take an unexpected step. He resolved to meet the child's mother in order to understand the origins of such conviction. As news of the child's words and the Hafiz's extraordinary reaction spread throughout the village, hearts began to awaken. Inspired by the simple yet profound declaration, families started embracing Islam. In time, what began as a brave inquiry by one little boy became the spark that transformed an entire community, uniting them under the guiding light of faith. This miraculous transformation, sparked by the innocence and wisdom of a single child, left every person forever changed, deeply inspired, and united. In a small town in Paris, there stood a humble mosque that was a center of learning and spiritual guidance. Within its modest walls resided a revered Hafiz of the Quran, known to all as Qari Sahib. Every Muslim child in the town eagerly gathered to learn the sacred text from him. His teaching methods were both engaging and compassionate, perfectly suited to the inquisitive minds of the young. He not only recited the verses of the Holy Quran with clarity and precision, but he also explained their deeper meanings, ensuring that every lesson touched the hearts of his students. Qari Sahib believed that the Quran was not merely a book to be memorized, but a complete guide for life. He carefully elucidated the wisdom hidden within each surah, relating its teachings to everyday life and emphasizing moral values. One lesson he cherished was the importance of respecting one's parents, an idea that resonated deeply with the children. His words inspired them to cultivate not only religious knowledge, but also kindness and humility. The reputation of Qari Sahib's teachings spread far beyond the walls of the mosque. Each month, families contributed a modest fee, which helped sustain his household and ensured that his noble work continued unabated. Even non-Muslim residents admired him for his gentle demeanor and unfailing respect for others. His approach never inflicted pain or offense, and as a result, his influence grew steadily in every corner of the town. In this small Parisian community, Qari Sahib's lessons became a beacon of faith, unity, and moral strength for all. Every recitation and explanation was delivered with sincerity and a deep sense of duty. His influence transcended language and culture, igniting a passion for learning and faith in the hearts of the young and old alike, with profound impact. One day, while the Hafiz was diligently teaching the children the Holy Quran inside the humble mosque, an unexpected event occurred. The room was filled with the soft murmur of recitations and the sound of pages turning. Suddenly, the heavy wooden door creaked open, and in walked a young boy who had never been seen before by the congregation. He approached the Hafiz with a determined gait, his eyes sparkling with an unusual mix of curiosity and resolve. Without hesitation, the boy stepped forward and said in a clear, innocent voice, "I want to join your school." His words echoed in the silent pause that followed, leaving everyone present in stunned silence. The Hafiz, caught by surprise, smiled gently and replied, "This is not a school, my child. It is the house of God, the mosque where I teach the sacred words of the Quran." His tone was both kind and firm, as if reassuring the boy of the sanctity of the place. However, the boy, undeterred, insisted, "No, I want to study in your school." His determination was evident as he repeated his request, word for word, each time with increasing fervor. The atmosphere in the mosque grew charged with a mix of astonishment and admiration. The Hafiz, now standing up, looked at the boy in disbelief, as if witnessing someone entering the mosque for the very first time. The child's bold insistence resonated deeply with everyone, sparking a newfound sense of wonder and reflection among the gathered students and elders alike. His presence and unwavering conviction promised to challenge long-held perceptions and usher in a new chapter of learning and faith. In that moment, the mosque transformed into a vibrant arena of inquiry and learning, marking the beginning of an extraordinary journey that would change the hearts present. After hearing the child's bold request to join the mosque's school, the respected Hafiz asked with calm authority, "My son, where is your mother?" The child replied simply, "She is waiting outside." Compelled by the need to understand the source of such determination, the Hafiz stepped out into the cool morning air. At the entrance of the mosque, he found a woman standing alone. His eyes immediately narrowed as he observed her attire, a European-style dress that starkly contrasted with the modest garb expected of a Muslim woman. His heart filled with disapproval and anger. "If you were truly a Muslim, you would have dressed in accordance with our customs," he murmured to himself. Approaching her, the Hafiz said in a firm, measured tone, "I came to meet your mother, but seeing you dressed in this way, I cannot welcome you here." The woman, taken aback by his sudden harshness, hesitated before answering softly, "I mean no disrespect. I am here only because of my child's earnest wish to learn." Her words did little to ease his discontent. The Hafiz's eyes reflected the weight of tradition and his strict adherence to the cultural norms he held dear. With a heavy heart and unwavering resolve, he turned away, leaving the woman standing in the light of the dawning day, uncertain and hurt. Yet the story did not end there. The very next day, the child returned to the mosque, his voice filled with determination as he repeated, "My mother says I must join your school." In that moment, the Hafiz found himself forced to confront his own rigidity. The child's repeated plea began to stir a quiet introspection, questioning whether his uncompromising stance might be softened by the sincere desire for learning that radiated from the young heart before him. Persistently, the child continued his insistent pleas to join the sacred learning at the mosque. Finally, the Hafiz of the Quran stepped out of the mosque and approached the woman responsible for the child's repeated presence. She stood there, smiling gently, as though hoping to be welcomed inside as well. But the Hafiz halted her advance. With a firm tone, he declared, "In your current attire, you are not permitted to enter this sacred space. The mosque demands purity in both appearance and heart." Taken aback by his words, the woman offered a humble apology. "Please forgive me, for I do not possess extensive knowledge about Islam," she said softly. Her voice carried regret and confusion, yet it did little to ease the Hafiz's disapproval. His eyes widened in disbelief, for he now realized that she was not a Muslim at all. In fact, she was a Jewish woman, and her identity starkly contrasted with the values maintained within the mosque. Despite her non-Muslim status, she had continuously sent her child to the mosque, convinced that the teachings there could transform his life. This repeated action sparked both admiration and controversy among the community members. The Hafiz, steadfast in upholding the sanctity of the mosque, believed that allowing her entry would compromise its purity. His reaction underscored a deep commitment to tradition, even as the town witnessed a remarkable change through the child's influence. In that charged encounter, the complex interplay of religious identity and community tradition was laid bare, leaving an enduring impact on everyone present. The encounter served as a turning point, forcing each individual to question their own beliefs and the boundaries of tradition. In that brief moment, doubts and hopes mingled, ultimately paving the way for future dialogue and transformation within the community. It united hearts. Seeing the woman's unwavering determination to send her child to the mosque, despite her non-Muslim identity, the Hafiz of the Quran could no longer restrain his curiosity. Stepping forward, he inquired sharply, "If you are not a Muslim, why do you repeatedly bring your child here? If you belong to another faith, shouldn't you take him to a church instead?" His question, laced with genuine bewilderment, hung in the still air of the mosque courtyard. The woman, maintaining a composed demeanor, responded, "I wish for my child to be admitted into your school so that he may receive proper education and moral training." Her voice was calm, yet resolute, as she continued, "In my neighborhood, there is a Muslim woman whose 3 sons attend your school. These boys show extraordinary respect for their mother. They have never, not even once, uttered a word of disrespect toward her. Instead, they greet her by kissing her hand and bowing down at her feet. When she stands, they immediately rise in reverence. And if she comes from outside, they stand to welcome her, as if she were a queen and they her devoted subjects. Her words, sincere and heartfelt, left the Hafiz momentarily silent, trying to comprehend her perspective. After a brief pause, he asked, "What drives you to send your child here, if not a desire for religious conversion?" The woman replied gently, "I desire my child to learn the values of respect, honor, and discipline. I want him to cherish me as those boys cherish their mother. Even though I am not well versed in Islam, I know that the education provided here nurtures moral character and instills virtues that are essential for life." Hearing this, the Hafiz felt a profound calm descend upon him. In her explanation, he recognized the very essence of the training he had always strived to impart, a transformation of character rooted in respect and dignity. His heart softened as he realized that her wish for her child transcended religious boundaries. In that moment, the mosque was not just a place for worship, but a beacon of universal values. Thus, the conversation left both the Hafiz and the woman with a shared understanding. It reaffirmed the true purpose of education, to cultivate a respectful, honorable spirit in every soul that seeks guidance. Their exchange fostered a lasting bond of mutual respect. This was the true beauty of Islam, its ability to teach respect and decorum in every relationship. Observing the potential within the child, the Hafiz-e-Quran granted him permission to remain in the mosque and continue his learning, even though the child was not of the faith. Rather than imposing the doctrines of Islam and the Holy Quran abruptly, the Hafiz chose a path of gradual enlightenment. He began by nurturing the child's character through his own exemplary conduct, teaching him to distinguish between right and wrong with patience and care. Over time, he instilled in the child the fundamental principles of respect, honesty, and self-discipline, preparing him to receive deeper spiritual teachings. The Hafiz's method was gentle and thoughtful, as he carefully explained the values of Islam through both words and actions. Initially, the child's behavior had been influenced by the rough conduct he observed from his older siblings and father. His interactions with his mother and grandmother were marked by a certain disregard for the respect they deserved. However, under the Hafiz's attentive guidance, the child gradually began to change. He started to adopt the mannerisms and positive habits of his peers who attended the mosque, slowly replacing his earlier, less respectful behavior. In the serene environment of the mosque, the child learned that true education was not merely academic, but a harmonious blend of character and faith. The transformation was slow but steady, and the Hafiz's dedication ensured that the teachings of the Holy Quran were absorbed naturally, without coercion. Thus, the child's journey in the mosque became a living example of how the beauty of Islam lies in its ability to reform hearts through gentle, respectful instruction. In that sacred space, each lesson nurtured both mind and soul, creating an everlasting bond that transformed his life. In the gentle light of the mosque's teachings, the child began to understand Islam more deeply. As days passed, his knowledge of the Quran and the values imparted by the Hafiz gradually drew him closer to the essence of the faith. Every lesson and every act of respect helped him internalize the beauty and truth of Islam. It was as if the divine words had ignited a spark within him, guiding him toward a life filled with piety, compassion, and purpose. Before long, his transformation became unmistakable. Once known for his unruly behavior and indifference, the child started to embrace the teachings with complete sincerity. He accepted Islam wholeheartedly, and his actions and demeanor reflected the profound change that had taken root within him. His newfound respect for others and his commitment to moral values shone through in every interaction, marking the beginning of a promising future. Observing this remarkable change, his mother could no longer remain indifferent. Overwhelmed by the positive influence of the Hafiz's teachings on her son, she too decided to follow the path of Islam. Witnessing her child's improved behavior, his courtesy toward elders, and his genuine efforts to do good, she felt that embracing Islam would secure a better life for both of them. In her heart, she believed that the noble values of Islam would bring honor and dignity to their family. However, as news of their conversion spread throughout the town, the community's reaction was swift and severe. Neighbors and relatives expressed shock and disbelief, and harsh criticisms soon emerged. How can you abandon your own religion and accept Islam? They jeered. It is better that you renounce Islam, or else you will be cast out of this village, they warned, their voices filled with contempt. Despite the mounting pressure and scorn from those around her, the mother remained steadfast in her decision. With unwavering determination and quiet dignity, she stood by her choice, convinced that the teachings of Islam would continue to nurture her son's character and lead their family toward a brighter, more honorable future. Their journey inspired many, urging them to reflect on beliefs and seek deeper truths of life. With each passing day, the family grew stronger in faith, united in hope and purpose. Their resolve and unity shone brightly, inspiring even the most skeptical hearts around them. The home belonged to that very woman, and her husband never cared about her religious affiliation. However, as both mother and son underwent a remarkable transformation through disciplined training and newfound respect, gradually the entire household began to change. The other children and family members started interacting with each other with courtesy and dignity, adopting refined manners learned from observing the child's behavior. Every conversation, every gesture, and every act became imbued with a sense of mutual respect that had never been seen before. One day, with genuine conviction, the woman addressed her family saying, "Look, if by simply following these teachings we have learned such refined manners and a graceful way of life, imagine the transformation that will occur if we wholeheartedly embrace Islam. Our lives will change in ways we never thought possible." Her words resonated deeply, stirring the hearts of even the most skeptical family members and inspiring them to reconsider their long-held practices. Initially, the child's father, grandfather, and other close relatives had already accepted Islam. But as the Hafiz's influence spread, more residents of the town began sending their children to learn under his guidance. They desired to see their own offspring develop the respectful behavior and disciplined character that had blossomed in that one remarkable child. In time, the entire town embraced Islam, credited to the Hafiz's patient nurturing and the inspiring transformation of that single young soul. His example became a beacon of hope and a catalyst for change, uniting the community under a renewed sense of purpose and dignity. Thus, the transformation began to ripple throughout the community, as neighbors noticed the positive changes and embraced the lessons. The Hafiz's teachings, demonstrated through that one child's remarkable journey, inspired a wave of unity and respect.